And welcome, everybody, to 2023 of the Mark Bishop Show. We've had a few since then, of course, but 22nd of January is the important date. Today, we recorded this on the 17th, but it'll going to be around for a long, long time. So the message is still important regardless, because January, on the 22nd, marks 50 years since Roe versus Wade, the landmark decision that legalized abortion. Now, in the 7 months since the Supreme Court overturned Roe, people have been forced to leave their communities, travel hundreds of miles, and navigate barrier after barrier to get the abortion care that they need. Even before the High Court's decision, the protections of Roe were never enough for people working to make ends meet. With decades of restrictions, including insurance, coverage bans, and restrictions on medication abortion, denying people the care they need. So, Morgan Hopkins is president of All Above All, here to discuss with me today what's needed to ensure access to abortion care. Now, Morgan is a reproductive rights expert, sharing how to ensure abortion access nationwide. And I'll just make note of this, that, I'm a journalist by trade, and people say to me, well, what are your topic? I believe in helping all people and keeping it all open and all balanced and fair. Henceforth, this interview today. Welcome, Morgan. Nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Morgan, what are the policies and steps needed now to ensure abortion care is available and affordable, and the current landscape for abortion access, as well as the impact of restrictions that deny abortion care?
You laid it out really nicely in the intro. So we have seen for decades, for as long as we had Roe versus Wade, that there were insurmountable restrictions denying people abortion care. So even with the legal protections from Roe, many communities were not able to access the promise of Roe. And since the Dobbs decision last summer, 24 states have banned or are likely to ban abortion. State legislatures are coming back into session now. So we will see people being forced to travel even further as more states ban abortion. And we know that abortion bans push families deeper into economic insecurity. If you have to travel, you might need childcare. You might need to take days off of work. You have to pay for that travel, and then you have to pay for the abortion care itself. So we really see the ways that this is an economic issue for families and will really harm people working to make ends meet and communities of color.
Well, yeah, it's tough. There's no doubt about it. And as I'm to understand it, Morgan, All Above All's action plan for abortion justice is calling for bold, proactive policies that ensure abortion care is affordable, available, and accessible in our communities. Now, with voters, especially young people, making clear in the midterm elections that abortion is a priority issue, elected officials at every level, you're pushing them. They must act for abortion justice.
That's right. We really saw huge voter engagement and energy around this issue, and now we are asking people to make their voices heard again, especially for those people that you voted for. You are their constituent, and so we're really asking lawmakers to think bigger, and we want to see solutions that are bolder than restoring the protections that we had under Roe versus Wade to ensure that abortion care is available in the communities where we live. It's covered by all insurance plans. We want to make sure that abortion care is available without hurdles for young people, LGBTQ folks, and people who are working really hard to make ends meet. So we're looking more comprehensively across the country at local, state, and federal levels, asking lawmakers to be bolder.
If you have just joined me, listeners, I'm speaking with Morgan Hopkins. She's the president of All Above All and All Above All Action Fund. It's leading the organization's work to achieve abortion justice and build the political power of voters of color. She has more than a decade of experience in the field of abortion rights and justice, with expertise in grassroots organizing, policy, coalition building, and political strategy. Now, the landscape of abortion access, I mean, it seems like you're, pushing the old proverbial stick uphill here, doesn't it? The impact of abortion restrictions, particularly on communities of color and people working to make ends meet. I mean, is there any blue sky at all on the horizon, Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen the way that decades-old policies like the Hyde Amendment, for example, have restricted coverage of abortion. But since the Dobbs decision, we've seen such a groundswell of energy. We've seen local elected officials and even state legislators being really creative and making it clear that they want to keep abortion legal and accessible. So it's a long fight for sure, but we know that this future we're fighting for is possible, and it will take all of us, but we remain optimistic that we can get there.
Well, you're a frequent commentator in the media on politics and abortion rights. I've seen you being featured on Vox, USA Today, Politico. I mean, what's the general feeling when you work around the media and you go around like you do? What sort of pats on the back or abuse do you get? What sort of encouragement? Give me a feel of how tough your job is.
It changes day to day, and it can be tough, not just with media, but I actually find that the media I speak to are really trying to get to the heart of this story and often are trying to understand the impact of the laws that we see being passed, right? Even if you're not a political expert or, don't read some of the more political outlets, I have found that, journalists and reporters really want to keep at the center that there are people being impacted by this. It's not just about the politics. You have people traveling across the country to get abortion care, and that can't be lost. So that's my experience typically with media, that even though there are politics around this, it really is about the people who need abortion.
All right, let's forget the rhetoric and have an open chat, because the hard right, I've seen some shocking things and bombs and murders and all the rest of it over this very delicate discussion and issue. And give me some answers. Let's say I'm an old codger and I say to you, well, they're going to learn keep their legs together and not have marriage before sex. Okay, and what do you think you can do? Just go and have sex and then go and have an abortion? You get this sort of stuff. What are the answers to these?
I answer with my values, honestly. Like, it's not just, here's like the best talking point, but it really is what I believe. And I believe that everyone should be able to decide if and when to become a parent.
Should that be decided, though, before the act, in case you do become a parent? What is missing at the other end? You can't be a parent at 18 or 21, 25. You haven't lived, have you?
We don't know every person's circumstances, and I don't want to make such an important decision for anyone else, right? That's not my place. And so I think we shouldn't judge someone who feels they're not ready to become a parent, or maybe they are, right? So I believe that however we feel about abortion, it's not our place to make that decision for someone else.
Every human being is unique, and everybody has, I guess, their own right. So the hard issue is, well, what about the debate on rape? All that side of it. Surely to God, your, antagonists and heavy rights can be more compassionate on that issue.
Yeah, I think we should be compassionate for each person, regardless of circumstance. And we know that for people seeking abortion care in, those very difficult type of situations, it can actually just create even more barriers. Navigating, accessing an abortion in this landscape, which is a very complicated web, in most of the country right now, on top of, if you're a survivor of violence, it just adds more barriers potentially to your experience. So I think absolutely we should have compassion for people in those circumstances, but we also should have compassion for the person who, has a child and now has to travel 1,000 miles and take time off of work and pay for child care, and their insurance doesn't cover abortion. And so now they're in a really difficult economic situation, right? So I think there's room for compassion across the board.
Okay, totally agree with you on that. And, you look at lawmakers in the federal, state, local levels. I mean, how can listeners, right now, get involved? How can they engage with their elected officials to do something about this?
People can go to allabovall.org, our website. There are ways to contact your elected officials on our website. It's really going to take all of us, even if you feel like you live in a state that's hostile right now to abortion access. We know this is a long fight, so we need everyone to push for these bold solutions to make sure that abortion is available, affordable, and supported for anyone who needs it.
What's your opinion of more manufactured protection for men? Why should it always be the women that have to wear the brunt? What do you think on that?
We need everyone to be involved, and it's important to understand that restrictions on our freedom to control our bodies and make decisions about our lives and for our families impacts everyone. It doesn't just impact the person who needs an abortion. It impacts their family. It impacts their community. So this really is a fight for everyone to be involved in.
Does length of duration come into it? I notice more and more debates now between the heavy politicians. 16 weeks down to 8. The whole topic is thrown about in weeks. What's your view on that?
I believe that people should be able to access abortion care when they need it, and we know that all of these barriers can push people farther into pregnancy. So the more barriers you have, the longer someone might need to wait to be able to get an abortion.
Right.
So,
and that's what builds the numbers up too. That's what builds the numbers up. The hold up, not being able to address it quickly enough when the mind is made up, and then it goes into a state of array, doesn't it?
Right, especially now where clinics are overwhelmed with people coming from other states. The wait time at clinics is getting longer, and so it pushes people farther into pregnancy.
Oh, boy, it's a hard one, isn't it? Now we're talking about taking doctors' rights away, taking your practice after 8 years, everything when they're trying to do the right thing and help. You previously worked at the National Network of Abortion Funds, and you volunteered with the Lilith Fund and the Eastern Massachusetts Abortion Fund. You've learned a lot. You've seen a lot. Now, if people want to go to All Above All, what's the address?
allabovall.org, and you can follow us on social media at allabovall.
Okay, and there's a lot they can read there. You're contactable. You'll speak if someone wants to talk to you.
Yes, you can email us through the website. There's also a lot of information on there. You can look at our map and see what some of the restrictions or barriers might be in your state, or if your state has expanded abortion access. So there's a lot of information on our website.
I would love to see, at a closing note, Morgan, I'd love to see town halls on this in every city, in every state. And I think people would
Me too.
I think they'd be very surprised of what, after all, we the people, or is that a lot of crap? We the people vote, talk about it, talk things out, and then see what the numbers are with reference to supporting stories and women, different capabilities, there's so much stuff. All right, listen, wonderful speaking with you. We must do it again. I wish you well with the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, allabovall.org, right? All Above All. And I've been speaking with the president there. She does a wonderful job, Morgan Hopkins. And go and have a look. Have a read. See for yourself. Okay? Morgan, lovely speaking with you. Good luck and stay in touch for the future.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye now.
Bye.